You found a tree?
Yeah, come here.
Where's Levi?
Levi.
We're gonna do it together, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? You grab hold. You ready? In, back. In, back. Yep. She's falling. Timber! Levi. Levi. You say putt putt tractor? Putt putt tractor. You say putt putt tractor?
Putt putt tractor.
Yep. Putt 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 tractor. Putt 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 tractor. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm sitting here and I'm going through my my bars, and I'm looking at one here and I'm like, boy, this thing is really bad shape. And you know, it's one of those situations where you typically throw the bar away. Well, I'm going to see if I can bring it back to life. Now let me show you the bar so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. So as you can see, this is an old Homelite bar. I'm just going to see if I can make it usable again. I'm not looking to put it in my regular rotation, but I'm curious to see if I can make it usable again. Now let me show you what's going on here. The issue's in the rail. You can see, heavily worn, big deep groove carved out of it from the chain. And you know, I want to see if I can bring it back to life. Look down here, this area, it's even worse. But we're gonna fire some tools up and see if we can make this thing a usable bar again. Just with some simple little grinding work. Alrighty? All right, let's take a look at this finished product here. Is she perfect? Nope. But she's a lot better than it was. Now I'm going to show you one issue that this bar does still have. You always run into this with these old bars like this, and it's up to you whether or not you want to try to fix it. I chose not to do it on this one for a very specific reason, and I will get into that here in a moment. Alrighty? Alright, so here the bar is with the chain on it. And if I take my finger, she's not supposed to rock back and forth this far. Not at all. This will make the chain or the saw cut kind of weird in your wood. She'll kind of want to go left or right. You know, one cut might want to go left, one cut might want to go right. And that's because you're tilting the saw a little bit in the cut. Now I'm going to leave it like this on purpose, and I will explain it here in a moment. All right, so the whole point of this video is to see if you can take an old beat up bar and make it usable again. And I think I just proven that it is possible to do it. But you end up with your rail is kind of spread apart. That little groove, she's too wide. All that material got wore out. Now you have an option. There is a tool called a, I believe it's called a rail closer. And what it does is it squeezes that back up and it sets it the perfect width for the chain. I'm not going to do that with this bar. You can choose whether or not you want to do it. I do suggest that you do it, especially if you're cutting firewood. The only reason I'm not doing it is because I plan on using this bar in a competition scenario. You see, have you ever been in a situation where your cut starts going crooked on you? And you were like, crap, I can't fix it. And it just goes and cuts half the cookie off or whatever. Well, with me keeping a little bit of slop in that chain, as it's cutting, I have a little wiggle room that I can help try to steer the saw and keep that cookie on there. Because that could be the difference of whether or not you get disqualified or not. So I'm going to leave this bar like that. Try to keep a little bit of wiggle room on the chain so that I can help steer it in the cut. Now this is something that a lot of people might find more difficult to master, and it's something that it's taken me a long time to kind of recognize it, let alone start to be able to try to steer it through the cut. But I did recently start noticing this stuff, so I've been kind of going through some of these old bars and seeing if I can get them set up and practice with them a little bit to try to work to where I can actually steer my saw in a cut. I want to be able to go and make an S cut in the wood. That's only because in a competition situation, I want to be able to steer the saw through the cut. It could be the difference of, win or lose, So that's my whole purpose here, is to see if I can pull this off. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I'm sure it's going to take a lot of practice, but I think I can do it. I've gotten used enough to running the old bars that are pretty much wore out that I'm starting to really recognize when there's the extra gap in the bar. I can feel it in the cut, and I want to see if I can start using it to my advantage. Now you have to have an old, really worn out bar in order to do this. Now I guess you could try buying a bar with a larger gauge slot and then putting the chain in there and seeing if you can pull it off. Personally, I think it's something to do with the old ones that are worn out, because the groove wouldn't be perfect. So on an old worn out bar, the groove would be more of a V shape than perfect. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm noticing it on these old bars. I don't have a new bar here that I could do that experiment with and compare it, but this is the method I decided I'm going to go with. Just an old worn out bar setup. But is it possible to fix an old worn out bar and make it usable again? Yes. There's just one more step, and that's to squeeze the rail to the right thickness. That's it. But in case you guys were wondering, is it possible to fix up these old bars? Yes, it is. So what you got to worry about is going so deep on the bar that that part of the chain bottoms out. That's the thing to worry about. You need to have a little bit of space between this and the bottom of the groove. As long as you got room there, you can do it. Now, another thing you need to worry about is whenever you're grinding on the bar, you can't do this with a file. You can't. You have to have it perfect at a 90-degree angle. So you want to lay the bar flat on a surface and grind it at a perfect 90-degree angle. It will not work with a file. You'll end up rounding over the bar. You could come up with a tool of some sort or some sort of a system to hold the file flat, but you're better off just to buy a tool that will grind in that perfect 90-degree angle. You can't have that hump. It just won't work. But that's all I have for you today, and I hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you on the next one. Later.